Hi there, I'm Dean Heskin. You are tuned in to our podcast brought to you by Swiss America Trading Corporation. The podcast entitled Secret War on Cash. In fact, if you have not received a complimentary or free copy of our report, The Secret War on Cash, do yourself a favor and call us, or you can register online to receive it. Very good information, especially given everything that is going on in this crazy world around us, financially speaking and otherwise. You can call us or text at 1-800-289-2646, or you can visit us online at www.swissamerica.com. But to talk about this secret war on cash and what's happening today, or in this part of it, I have my co-host with me, Chris Agelastos. He's going to jump in here, I think, in 2 seconds, or maybe not.
I'm on my way.
He's on his way.
You can hear me,
Well,
you just can't see me.
you look fantastic. So
The best I've ever looked.
best you've ever looked. CC's probably just keeping you there because he knows what's good for you.
Yeah.
Well, we'll talk while he works on getting. CC's our producer, by the way, ladies and gentlemen. If as he works on getting you here present in the physical sense, the let's see our first article, Chris. Let's talk here.
Yep.
This is out of newsbreak.com. Banks are closing accounts during de-risking reviews, often without warning. Okay. So now we're seeing, and I don't know about you, but I had not seen this term, this de-risking term being used before until this article.
Yeah.
And what to me is kind of interesting about it is how, this is something that there's just these, it seems to be very arbitrary moves or decisions or actions that these banks are taking. And, it's something that I can't think of a single instance where any of these changes have been in the best interest of you and I, the customer.
Right.
And there the thing with this, which has become kind of commonplace, is like they make these decisions, and like it says here, often without warning. They're closing an account, they're de-risking um, themselves of these various accounts, but with no warning. All of a sudden, you just wake up one day and your whole banking dynamic has changed. And I don't.
That
I mean, I don't understand. I do understand risk, and I do understand like them, having to do what they need to do to protect themselves. But this is a bank. We're not talking
right.
like we're talking about closing an account where somebody, what's the function of a bank? You have money in a bank and you spend money when you need to.
Right. Well, I remind clients all the time, no matter how long you've banked with a bank or a credit union, they're not your friends. You're doing business with them, and unfortunately, we're doing business with companies that hold all the cards. Meaning, we give them our money and full control and power over our money, and we're stuck kind of going along with whatever decisions they decide. And in a lot of these de-risking reviews that they're calling them, and really, I think they're just trying to find a nicer word for freezing you out of your accounts or freezing your money. De-risking sounds a little bit nicer, but at the end of the day, what they're doing is blocking you access from your funds, which is another reason why I tell people keep a few different bank accounts, at least two, but I recommend having money in a few different banks that aren't linked together. Because if they're subsidiaries and you have a problem with one, you're likely going to have a problem with the others under the same umbrella. And that just gives you a little bit of leverage as a consumer, so that if one of your accounts does get locked up, even if it's just temporary for a couple of weeks during one of these reviews or something like that, that you're not stuck without access to money and now paying things late, racking up maybe fees and penalties or hurting your credit, things of that nature. So that's definitely something to consider. And unfortunately, even if, I wish I could say, as long as you do everything right, you won't have this problem, because the banks try to make it sound like they're just looking for bad guys and trying to prevent money laundering and things like that. But unfortunately, a lot of innocent people get caught up in these reviews, people that didn't do anything. Maybe they're small business owners, or they're consultants, and they close a large transaction maybe every few months or every few weeks instead of every couple of days. And so they're making some random big deposits, or they have to pull large chunks of money out of the bank at one time and then maybe not again for another few weeks. People that don't have regular 2-week paycheck patterns can often get caught up in these reviews. And in the meantime, until the bank comes to some sort of conclusion of whether or not they want you to be their customer or not, you're locked out of your money, and you have no real leverage. You're not going to be able to walk down to your local Bank of America and bang on the door and get your money if they don't want to give it to you.
Right. And, I would add to that, as you said, innocent people, they're going for the guilty people, or for people who are committing some form of fraud or whatever it might be. But predominantly, the vast majority, I would say, it would seem, of these accounts that are getting closed are innocent people. They're just people who are utilizing a bank for normal banking procedures or processes. And to your point, let's look at our next article here. This is the cruel irony in this situation. This out of the Daily Huddle. Hackers expose 1 million US bank accounts in 1 year, with thieves
Mhm.
sharing usernames and passwords freely on the dark web. And the point being is, like, the only one who seems to have free access to the world of banking anymore are thieves. I mean, these guys are able to, like, walk right into any bank through the web, and then, now they're freely sharing all this stuff on the dark web. I mean, I guess what I'm saying, Chris, I'd like to see the banks a little more focused on this problem
Right.
versus, like, closing, like, what's the rationale for closing a bank account? Like, it's okay, somebody's doing something illegal, let's say. Should they be doing
Mhm.
that? Absolutely not. But and I know I'm familiar enough with the banking laws where there is an onus or a responsibility on banks to not knowingly, conduct business with people who are doing illegal activity. Okay.
Mhm.
But since when did the banks become like judge, jury, and executioner? Like, you have, I mean, if you really think about it in those terms, you're basically guilty until proven innocent with the banks, meaning, like, when they decide, hey, we don't think you're doing things legally or whatever else. No, no court has said that. Nobody's been arrested for it or anything. They are the ones who are making these decisions. But meanwhile, like I say, you've got these hackers out there, that are just in identity theft, everything else that goes with it, that seemingly just have the ability to waltz right into any bank they want to digitally.
Yeah. And well, that's the thing. So you've got to worry about the bank not giving you access to your money. And then you've got to worry about hackers getting access and taking your money. You're being hit on both sides here. And, the hackers have realized that it's a lot harder to get into a lot of these bank mainframe systems. The banks have realized this is a real problem, and they've shifted more of their resources to protecting our information, which is a good thing. But now the hackers have realized, well, it's a lot easier to just go after Dean directly than try to gain access to Dean's records through his bank. And so they've figured out that they can pull your username and your password off your personal devices, and then they can share that information with other bad guys on the dark web, right? And give this info or sell this info to other criminals. And so, traditional uh, theft of information from the banks themselves has slowed a little bit, but they're just shifting their efforts towards us individuals. And you know what? We're a lot easier to hack than the bank is, to the point where this million bank accounts, it says it's about a 50% increase year over year in bank account usernames and passwords being hacked, and your bank account being broken into. So do what you can to protect your info. I do recommend too changing your passwords. I mean, I was guilty of this for so many years. Keeping a lot of similar passwords for different accounts, and I finally realized, look, it's just your passwords are too important these days. 10, 15 years ago, it wasn't as much. Maybe it was your email or something like that. But nowadays, almost every financial account we have, is connected to the internet and requires a username and a password. And if your username and password gets hacked from one of those, and you use the same password on all of your banking sites, well, guess what? They just got access to all of your information. So try to change your passwords regularly and don't use the same password for all your financial accounts. I know it's a pain to maybe keep track of the passwords sometimes, but that's a lot better to deal with than having to go try and recoup your dollars if somebody breaks into your system and takes your money.
Yeah, 100%. Well, and another frustration with this whole situation, with these hackers, and then, again, banks just arbitrarily, somewhat arbitrarily, we'll say, closing accounts. So the bank is saying, okay, we're not going to let you utilize our services, our bank any longer. These people with when the hackers hit, we've covered this on several podcasts in the past, where it's not like if a hacker hacks. So what the bank's job is to kind of make sure our money stays somewhat safe.
Yep.
When these hackers, they're not hacking your and my system. The hackers are not. When they access our bank account, they're hacking the bank's system. And we've done shows where, like, these people get some people get hacked, and the banks don't pay them, or they're in a fight to get their money back in some cases. And it's really like you wonder at what point, do we that's where when you look at what's happening around the world with various forms of different currencies being discussed, different payment systems being discussed. I think this is really one of the things that might be kind of a catalyst for that, is that people, this something's got to give here, because again, the number has doubled with these hackers, and it's just leaving people in the lurch. And these problems just keep, like, continue, like almost like snowballing. So, at some
Yeah.
point, that's where this could be the very thing that helps usher in, this new payment system we've heard so much about, or these new currencies we're hearing so much about. So
Yeah.
again, this is the secret war on cash, and this is a very good example of that. If you have not received your report, Secret War on Cash, from us at Swiss America, you can call us or text us to receive it. It's free to you at 1-800-289-2646. Call or text that number, or visit us online at www.swissamerica.com. Thanks for tuning in. If you're not subscribed to our channel, please do so. We'd love to talk to you more in the future. Have a great rest of your week, and we'll talk to you soon.
All right. Take care.